welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're doing a little bit of time travel.
A little bit.
Or maybe we're just anchoring ourselves firmly in the present, assuming the present is, the year 2026.
Right.
Because let's be honest, if you're a financial advisor right now, the rumor mill isn't just churning. It is absolutely overheating.
Oh, it really is. It's loud out there. I mean, if you've been to a conference in the last 6 months, you know exactly what we're talking about.
At the conversation of the year, there's this cocktail party buzz that's just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know how it goes. You're at a mixer, grabbing a drink, and someone leans in and says, "Did you hear about Johnson? He just sold his practice."
And he got
5 times revenue?
elusive 5 times multiple. It's become the Bigfoot of the industry.
It has.
Everyone claims they've seen it or they know a guy who knows a guy who got it. It's this mythical benchmark now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it creates this huge anxiety-inducing FOMO.
Yeah.
You start thinking, wait a minute, if Johnson got 5x, and I'm thinking about selling for anything less, am I getting ripped off?
Is my life's work being undervalued?
Yeah. So today, we're going to do something that might be a little uncomfortable, but it's totally necessary. We're going to cut through that noise.
We're going to pop the balloon, so to speak.
We are. We're diving into a document called Selling Your Practice in 2026 about Todd Dougherty. He's the VP of M&A at Advisors Legacy.
And what's great about this source is that it's not just opinion.
No.
It's not just Todd saying, here's what I think. It's based on hard data. We're talking actual closed transactions over a 3-year period leading up to now.
And that's critical.
Yeah.
Opinions are cheap, right? But transaction data, that doesn't lie.
It doesn't. The mission today is, well, it's simple. We want to separate the headline hype, that cocktail party talk, from the bankable reality.
Bankable reality. I like that.
Because if you're listening to this and you're thinking about an exit in the next 1 to 5 years, you cannot base your retirement on a rumor.
So true.
And I think the key themes here are really clarity and control.
How so?
Well, when you chase a mythical number, you lose control. But when you understand the mechanics, the actual math that a buyer and a banker are looking at, that's when you get clarity. And that's where your power comes from.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with the elephant in the room, this multiples myth. The rumor says 4 to 5 times revenue is the new normal. What does the data actually say?
Well, the data is a bit of a cold shower.
Yeah.
According to the Advisor Legacy Report, the actual realistic range for most practices in 2026 is between 2 and 3.5 times gross trailing 12-month revenue.
Okay, hold on. 2 to 3.5. I mean, that is a huge drop from the 5x everyone's whispering about.
It is.
If I'm a seller, that
almost feels like a failure.
it feels that way because you're anchored to the outlier, to the myth. Now, Todd Dougherty is careful to point out that results above 3.5x are possible. They happen. But
But he calls them uncommon. And here's the part that nobody mentions at the cocktail party. If you see a number that high, it almost always comes with massive strings attached.
okay, let's talk about those strings. Because I think people imagine a briefcase full of cash.
Right, and that's just not how it works. No one is handing over a briefcase with $5 million for a $1 million practice and just walking away.
So what are we looking at then?
When you see those high multiples, you're looking at things like risk shifting, contingencies, specifically heavy earnouts or equity participation.
Can you define earnout for someone who hasn't been through an M&A deal?
Sure. An earnout basically shifts the risk from the buyer back to you, the seller. The headline price might be 5x, but maybe you only get 3x in cash at closing.
And the other 2x.
You only see that if you stay on for, say, 3 years, keep all the clients, and here's the kicker. If the managed assets grow by 15% year over year.
So if the market tanks in 2027, or you lose one big client, that money just vanishes.
Poof, gone. You've basically worked for 3 years for free. So the headline number says 5x, but the cash in your bank account might be a lot less.
Wow.
And the source really hammers this point. Sellers have to stop looking at headline multiples and start looking at what a buyer can actually pay and, even more important, what a lender will actually finance.
That lender piece is huge. I want to get into the why behind that, but first let's dive into what I thought was the most shocking part of this report.
The 4 tiers of sales.
Yes, the 4 tiers. This is based on that 3-year data set, right?
Yeah, this isn't theoretical. This is what checks were actually written for.
Yeah.
And what they found is that how you sell your practice fundamentally determines what you get paid.
Okay, so let's walk through them. Tier 1 is what they call closed or DIY transactions.
Right, the classic country club handshake.
Yeah.
You find a buyer yourself, You play golf with a guy across town, you shake hands, you negotiate over lunch. It feels easy, it feels safe.
And the average outcome for that?
2.29 times revenue.
2.29.
Yep.
Okay, that's modest.
It's the floor. And the reason is simple. There's no competition. You're negotiating against one person. And that person knows you want an easy exit.
So they bake a convenience discount into the price.
Exactly. You're paying for the ease of the transaction with your own equity.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so then Tier 2, next-gen transactions. This is selling to a junior partner or successor.
Yep. This is often held up as the gold standard of succession planning.
But financially?
Financially, the average here is 2.41 times revenue.
So barely better than the handshake deal. Why is that? I think a lot of people assume selling to your junior partner is the ideal scenario.
And emotionally, it might be, but it's almost entirely a capital issue. I mean, think about it. Your junior partner might be a fantastic advisor, but do they have $3 million in liquid cash just sitting there?
Probably not, no.
Right, so who finances the deal? Usually you do. The seller takes back a promissory note. And because the buyer has no leverage and you want them to succeed, the valuation just naturally compresses.
You're subsidizing your own exit.
You are. You're trading a lower price for that emotional satisfaction of keeping the team together, which is a noble choice, but you have to know it's a choice that costs you money.
Got it. Moving up, Tier 3, professionally supported transactions.
This is where you have some guidance. You're using a professional to help structure the deal, maybe handle the legal side. That bumps the average up to 2.74 times revenue.
Okay, so getting warmer.
You're getting closer to fair market value.
But then we get to Tier 4, the open market process.
This is the game changer. An open market process creates competitive tension. You've got multiple buyers, 5, 10, maybe 20 qualified buyers, all looking at your practice at the same time.
And the average outcome there?
3.59 times revenue.
Wow. Okay, so we went from 2.29x for the DIY deal all the way to 3.59x for the open market one.
Correct. And let's make that real, because percentages can feel abstract.
Good idea.
The source model's a practice with $1.13 million in revenue. Pretty standard, successful practice.
$1 million producer.
Yeah.
Got it.
If that practice sells in a DIY transaction Tier 1, the total outcome is about $2.6 million.
Okay.
But if that same exact practice, same clients, same AUM, sells through an open market process,
Tier 4.
the outcome is $4.08 million.
Wait, just let me pause there. That's a difference of, what, almost $1.5 million?
$1.4 million, just based on the method of sale.
That is mind-blowing. You're leaving over $1 million on the table simply because you sold to the guy across the street instead of running a process.
Yes.
I mean, that's a vacation home. That's fully funding your grandkids' college education.
Exactly, and that is the aha moment. The asset didn't change, the exposure to the market changed. When you have multiple bidders, they aren't just paying for cash flow, they're paying a premium to beat the other guy.
That is a massive takeaway. But let me play devil's advocate.
Yes.
If the open market average is 3.59x and competition drives the price up, why is that 5x number still so impossible? Why can't I just say, bidding starts at 5x, take it or leave it?
You can say it, but the room will go silent because it comes down to the buyer's math, not your negotiation skills.
Okay, so walk me through the buyer's math. What actually breaks at 5x?
It's all about debt service and margin of safety. A buyer is almost always borrowing money from a specialized lender to buy you.
So the bank is the real gatekeeper.
The bank is the ultimate arbiter, yes. The bank looks at your practice's cash flow. First, that cash flow has to pay all the operating expenses. Lights, software, staff, non-negotiable.
Right, the business has to run.
Then, the cash that's left over has to pay the loan note for the acquisition. And banks are conservative. They require a debt service coverage ratio, usually around 1.3. Meaning for every dollar of debt payment, there has to be $1.30 of cash flow available.
So there has to be a buffer, a big one.
A significant buffer. That's the margin of safety. If you price a deal at 5x revenue, the loan payments are so massive they eat up all the cash flow.
And more.
The coverage ratio drops below 1.0. The buyer would literally be losing money every month just to own the business.
So if I'm asking for 5x, I'm basically asking the buyer to operate at a loss.
Correct. And the bank just won't fund it. They'll deny the loan. The source says it perfectly. If the numbers do not work, the multiple does not matter. The deal is just dead.
That completely shifts the perspective. It's not about what I want. It's about what the market can actually finance.
Exactly. And that explained why those high multiple deals have all those strings attached. If a buyer wants to pay you 5x, but the bank will only lend them enough for 3x, where does the other 2x come from?
It comes from the seller.
Right. Equity swaps, earnouts. The buyer says, I'll give you stock in my company for the difference. So now you haven't sold your risk, you've just converted it into being a minority shareholder in someone else's business.
Which could be great or it could be terrible.
Precisely. And the source sums it up with this key concept. Higher price often comes with higher seller risk or delayed monetization. So that cocktail party brag, I got 5x.
The follow-up question should be, okay, but how much of that was cash at closing?
That is the million-dollar question, literally.
So it sounds like we need to stop obsessing over the multiple and look at the bigger picture.
We do, and the source actually breaks this down into the 3 drivers of value. If you want to know what your practice is really worth, you have to look at these 3 things.
All right, what's driver number 1?
Cash flow. And to be specific, buyers don't buy revenue, they buy transferable cash flow.
What's the distinction there?
Well, revenue is vanity. If you bring in $1 million but spend $800,000 on overhead, a fancy office lease, company car, country club dues, your actual cash flow is tiny.
But wouldn't a buyer just add back those personal expenses?
They will, to an extent. That's called normalization. But high expense ratios are a red flag. It suggests an inefficient business. A lean, high-margin practice is worth more than a bloated one, even with the same revenue.
Okay. Driver number 2.
Deal structure. We were just talking about this. Price and terms are inseparable. You can't look at one without the other.
Right. A 3x multiple, all cash at closing, might be way better than a 4x offer that's spread out over 10 years with a bunch of hurdles.
Exactly. You have to look at the net present value of the money and the taxes. Cash at closing is usually capital gains. Earnouts can sometimes get taxed as ordinary income. That's a huge difference in what you actually keep.
And driver number 3.
How the practice is sold. This goes right back to our tiers. A professional process reduces execution risk.
The deal just falls apart.
Yes, deals die all the time. In due diligence, financing falls through. A managed process keeps the momentum going, it creates backup buyers, it organizes the data. The market pays a premium for certainty.
It's amazing how much of this just comes down to preparation. Which brings us to the mistakes sellers make. We've hammered mistake #1, fixating on the headline number.
Right. Look at what you keep.
What's mistake number 2?
Ignoring your own numbers, your expense ratios, your growth assumptions. Sellers come in with this back-of-the-napkin valuation. I have $100 million in AUM, so I'm worth 2% of that.
And that old rule of thumb is dead.
It is dead. Buyers build complex earnings models. If your growth has been flat for 3 years, a buyer is going to discount your value heavily.
And mistake number 3.
Waiting too long. It's the classic tragedy of the industry. Advisors are so busy planning their clients' futures, they completely neglect their own.
And then they're 75, their client base is aging with them, assets are in decumulation.
And they decide, okay, now I'm ready to sell. And they're shocked when the valuation is low. They're selling a declining asset. You have to sell into strength when the graph is still pointing up.
So let's get practical. If I'm listening and I want to sell in, say, 2028 or 2029, what should I be doing Monday morning?
The source is crystal clear on this. Get a professional business valuation now.
Even if I'm not selling for 3 years.
Especially if you aren't selling for 3 years. A professional valuation is a diagnostic tool. It tells you what you're worth today.
It's like a checkup. You find out where you stand so you can improve it.
Exactly. It provides leverage and clarity. If the valuation says you're worth $2 million today, but you need $3 million to retire, well, now you have 3 years to close that gap. You can clean up expenses, ramp up marketing. You can be, as the source says, intentional rather than reactive.
That distinction, intentional versus reactive, that's powerful. You want to be in the driver's seat.
And the good news is, the market outlook is actually pretty positive. Monetization is strong. Financing is available. The demand for recurring revenue is high. The buyers are out there.
So the opportunity is still there.
The opportunity is massive, but the bar has been raised. Buyers are discerning. They want clean financials and transferable relationships.
That feels like a perfect place to wrap. We busted the 5X myth, or at least exposed the strings. We looked at the massive million-dollar difference between a handshake deal and a competitive process.
And we drilled down on the math. It's not magic, it's cash flow and debt service.
So if you're listening, ignore the gossip at the next conference. Trust the math.
It's that simple.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought from the source that really stuck with me. Todd Dougherty writes, "Your legacy deserves more than hearsay."
That's a strong line.
It is, and it makes me wonder, and I want you, the listener, to think about this. Are you building a business just to run it, or are you building a business that is transferable?
Because those are two very different things.
Very different jobs. You can have a wonderful lifestyle practice, but if it's all dependent on you, it has very little enterprise value. The true value of your life's work is locked inside your head and your ledger.
Mm-hmm.
And unlocking it requires a shift from an owner mindset to a seller mindset well before you ever sign the papers.
Couldn't have said better myself. Clarity is key. Get the valuation, know the math, and control the process.
Thanks for diving in with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.